Hey guys, Tyler Ansman here with Tyler Ansman Performance. So today we're going to talk about the importance of warm-ups and why we structure them the way we do. All right? So warm-ups aren't just this kind of like time waster that's super boring and blah, blah, blah. It's something where it's an opportunity to get more out of your training. And that's for a couple of reasons. One, the warm-up is an opportunity to kind of expand these ranges of motion that maybe you struggle with. Right? And so when we talk about how we structure it, that's going to be the first thing we begin with. So it's going to be either ranges of motion that you don't have access to that we need to get more out of. Maybe you're weak through these end ranges, or maybe it's just a range of motion that's going to be used during this session, whether that's throwing, sprinting, lifting, whatever it is. All right, so the first piece would be that kind of self-myofascial release piece. So lacrosse ball, foam roller, something else to kind of get in there. What we're going to do is we're going to acutely change this range of motion. It's primarily kind of a neurological response more than it's actually a meaningful tissue change. But what it does is it allows us to open up these ranges of motion, and then we can pair something with that to kind of strengthen this range of motion. Because when we just open it acutely, right, it's generally going to be a little bit more passive. We want to do something that we kind of neuromuscularly lock that in. So we want to strengthen this range of motion. So we may do, end range isometrics. We may load these movements. We may just kind of train through them and move through them. But that's kind of the first piece, is that movement and mobility piece of this, where we're accessing the ranges of motion we're going to need that day. All right. The piece after that, right, we're getting into this dynamic prep piece. This is where we're raising the body temperature. This is important for a couple of reasons, but the biggest one is that nerve conduction velocity is higher when body temperature is higher. All right, so we want to try to get a sweat going if we can beforehand. So this kind of leads nicely into an important point for this time of year. If you're in a cold weather place, right, you want to keep all of your warm stuff on until you're ready to go, right? Even if you're in a facility in all likelihood, right? So when you walk in, you're getting warmed up, you got your sweatpants, sweatshirt on. Don't immediately take them off when you get there. Get a sweat going, and then when you're ready to actually throw or sprint or whatever you're doing, then take that stuff off and we'd effectively raise that body temperature. That's kind of the next piece there. Right? Beyond that, we want to kind of get the central nervous system ready to go. And so this is where the high intensity stuff comes in. We want to keep it super low volume, but it's where your ballistic stuff, your overcoming ISOs, your sprint work, anything like that, that's where this is going to come in. So you can pick what works best for you, right? The force-driven guys, longer contact, overcoming ISOs, that kind of stuff, the heavy loaded stuff. The elastic guys, fast stuff. Short ground contacts, elastic, right? So we could tailor this to what they need, but we want to get that high output stuff right before we're going to get ready to go, so we get that last kind of final wake up, all right? There's been kind of this push to move away from warm-ups. Like if you're not a cheetah and you're not ready to roll out of bed and just run, then you're not like in good shape. That's not really how it is. If you're a weekend warrior or just a general person trying to be fit and you have 45 or 60 minutes in the gym, that's all you can give, then yeah, we want to shorten your warm-up to kind of the minimum that we need, right, to kind of stay healthy and get ready to go. If you're an athlete trying to perform at an elite level, just take your time with your warm-up and really get the most out of it. This doesn't mean it should be 2 hours long, right? But if it's half an hour, if it's 40 minutes, that maybe isn't too long depending on what you're trying to do. Because the warm-up should bleed nicely into the training session, where you shouldn't necessarily know where one stops and one begins as you go, because that intensity is going to gradually get stair-stepped and it's going to feel productive the entire time. If any of it is completely unstimulating, then maybe you have a problem. But remember that not all of your training can be the most enjoyable thing in the world. We need to keep enjoyable stuff in there, but sometimes you got to do stuff that sucks a little bit. And maybe that's part of the warm-up. But if every day you're dreading this period of time, we may need to address this with different things, right? And so that maybe that potentiating piece is gamified. Maybe it's spike ball at the end. Maybe it's something you're racing somebody, right? It can be any number of things like that. But you have to find some way to kind of check each of these boxes, right? Movement mobility stuff, step up the body temperature, CNS prep. If we get through those, then we're probably doing okay. But let's not skimp on the warm-up just because maybe it's a little bit boring. At the same time, let's not go overboard where we're spending 8 hours in the gym every day. All right? Thanks for watching. Feel free to drop any comments or questions below or shoot me an email. Thanks.